All right, hello everyone. This is Ryan talking here. So, had a lot of questions about how diplomacy works, especially with this Backstabbr. So, I thought I would go ahead and kind of explain how this all works, and I'm going to use the sandbox to do it. So, we're starting in spring 1901. I'm just going to start with some of the basics, including all the different kinds of orders that you can give. We're 1901. Everyone is starting off differently. Every nation has kind of their own objectives on what they should be doing and how to figure out where to go from where. So whether it's the UK or, England in this game, notice how they have two fleets and they're an island nation. It's probably important that they build up a superior navy to help defend their home territory as well as to travel abroad. Or as well as Russia. Notice how they start off with 4 pieces of military while everybody else starts off with just 3. It's because they have a lot more to cover. And Russia is a big target for a lot of different people, whether it is England up in the north, Turkey in the south, Austria and Germany in its west. So there's so many different ways Russia can take it. Or Italy, how they control a lot of the Mediterranean. Or Austria-Hungary, who has good access to the Balkans, but notice how they're in between everyone. Just overall, lots of different ways it can be taken. And usually from the starting pieces kind of helps you figure out where you should go with this. So with a nation like Austria-Hungary, notice how they start off with 2 armies and a fleet. The fleet is just to make things a bit more flexible, but notice how they're mostly landlocked. It's probably best to go ahead and use those army pieces. Let's go ahead and begin at the very beginning. And let's start with something very simple here. All troops, like all pieces, armies and fleets, are created equally. Not one nation has a better fleet than another. Not one army has a better army than another. The idea is that they're created equally, so there could be stalemates, and it requires some precise maneuverability and some tactical work. Consider this almost like a game of chess. Once you figure out how these moves work, like in chess, you figure out how the pieces move and all that. This game can be broken down into those simple rules here. Let's begin with the first kind of action that you can do on this order turn in spring 1901. Movement. What movement means is that you are moving a troop from one region to another. I'm going to use Turkey for this example here. So they have an army here, fleet here, army here. There are so many different ways they can start off. We're going to start with armies and their movements. So with your cursor on Backstabbr, let's say you want to move this troop to Bulgaria. You can move it to Bulgaria by clicking on the troop and then that. If you look over here, it has the written orders because this is originally a board game and you would have to write out your orders like this. So it shows army, Constantinople to Bulgaria, meaning that that's where this army is going. In case you haven't noticed, you can only move one space at a time. So I can't move this army to Serbia or to Greece because it's only neighboring Bulgaria. And also, one army can only occupy one space at a time, one army or fleet. So I can't move this army over to here unless if I move this troop too, because it's already there. I can only move it to here, available as of right now without messing with anyone else. Going with that same logic, there is fleets. And they have certain kind of movements as well. And this is the best way I can explain this. So, fleets can also move only one space, and oceans count as spaces. Notice how each sea or ocean part is labeled here, like Mid-Atlantic, North Atlantic. So you can move, for Turkey, this fleet that's on the shoreline to the Black Sea. So this is how armies and fleets work when it comes to movement. An army can move to land from one land piece to another. In this case, these are both shorelines, but let's go ahead and jump over to Budapest. This army piece can jump from any of these land pieces around it. So it can jump to here, here, or here. But armies cannot go into the ocean. So back to Turkey, I can't put this army in the Black Sea or this army in the Aegean Sea. But these coastal areas with land, perfectly fine. Fleets are exactly like armies. They can occupy territory. They can occupy things, or they act exactly the same way. The only difference is that fleets are able to go into these waters. So like with this fleet into the Black Sea, or with Edinburgh, England's fleet can move to here, or it can move along shorelines. So I can move this fleet. I know I'm jumping all over the map. We can move this fleet over to here, or going back to Turkey, I can move this fleet to here because it is a shoreline. The best way I like to visualize it is imagine this fleet is literally going along the coastline here. So coastlines are able to take both armies and fleets, but this fleet cannot go inland. Let's pull an example here. So like this fleet right here, it cannot move to Ukraine. It cannot interact with the region of Ukraine because it is landlocked. It is completely landlocked, and imagine like this fleet can't go over there to help, because how can it get there? It can only go on waterways. So same thing with armies. I can't help in the ocean. I can't do any future things, actions that I'm going to talk about in the ocean. So that's how these moves work here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to edit to skip to the next year to show like the basic kind of movements that I decided to do here. Hey y'all, I just wanted to point out something here before moving on to the next part, that one thing you'll notice that I didn't really explain very well is that all moves happen at the exact same time. So you as a nation, when you create orders, everybody's orders are acted at the same time. So you don't get to see other nations before they do things. You're all doing it at the same time. I got to make that clear. So usually in games, there's like a time limit on when you have to submit orders by. Usually it can be like 15-minute increments, or it could be once a day to make the game last a bit longer and a bit slower. More flexibility that way. So just wanted to make that clear, that only once, or everybody goes at the exact same time. Okay, now we're back. We're in fall of 1901. All the troops have been moved. Let me go ahead and go back to the spring to show you exactly what kind of movements I did. So in spring 1901, every game always starts with those pieces in those spots. So I intentionally made it to try to set up future examples, as well as just make things aggressive. So like one nation is attacking another while also being attacked by another in a way, or being mobilized to another. I'm going to start with Italy for this example. So notice how they moved troops over to Austria. This only able to move one time. This army was able to move over here because these are landlocked. But like, and then this fleet is moving out to try to take supply centers. So all these troops have been moved around for Italy to get ready to attack Austria-Hungary. Now, that's not official yet. That's not 100% confirmed. But you can judge this by how it looks. Let's say Italy told Austria, hey man, I don't want to attack you. Everything is cool. I want to set up these kinds of conditions. And Austria agrees. But Italy was lying at the beginning because they moved their troops as if they're about to attack Austria-Hungary. From Austria's perspective, they wanted to go for the Balkans. The reason why is for these supply centers. I realize I haven't really explained these yet. So supply centers is the objective of the game. You want to, as your nation, you want to capture as much of these. These are these little circles, these white circles if they're unoccupied, or these colored circles of the nation. For every supply center that you control, or your nation controls, equals the amount of troops that you have on the battlefield. So the more supply centers you control, the more armies and fleets you can have. And I think you'll understand that just a bit later. But yes, so Austria started preparing to go for the Balkans. Maybe they reached a deal with Turkey and Russia, like, hey, I'm going to get Serbia and Greece. Turkey can get Bulgaria. Maybe Russia said that they want Romania. Okay, either way, no motives here. So Austria-Hungary started moving for that, thinking that Italy wasn't going to attack. But obviously, this shows otherwise. And even Germany can be a little bit hesitant here, because they moved their troop over to here, so Munich will be up for grabs or be available. And so this is the overall basic movements, and it has left certain people or nations vulnerable. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like in the fall here. So as you see, all these troops have their own positions, and I'm going to go ahead and push forward just so you guys can see exactly what I did. Actually, before I push forward, we're going to go ahead and show you the next kind of action that you can do in this game. And I'm going to use Austria and Italy as the example here. So, this is how the combat works. As I mentioned earlier, all nations are created equally. All armies are equal, I mean. As in, like, it's Italy's army is not better than Austria's fleet. They're all equal. So, how exactly does an attacker take over new territory that another piece is in? Well, a defender, how do they defend it, you may be asking. So, I'm going to go ahead and explain that here using Backstabbr. So, Italy wants to go for Trieste, let's say, because they have troops in position to do so. They have two armies here, and they believe that that may give them the opportunity to do so. Let's say they want to move this troop in Venice to Trieste. Now, right off the bat, if I were Italy and just do this is all I do, while Austria decides to hold, then I would lose because they're treated equally, and it's a draw, and the defender wins in a draw. So what would happen is it would be what they call a bounce, where Italy would not move. They would try. It's an invalid order. Nothing happens. They stay in Venice. Trieste's fleet stays there. But let's say I'm Italy and I really want Trieste. What I can do is called a support action. What that means is I take another army, so Tyrolia's army here. I click this to select it, and I click support down here. So, issuing a support order for Tyrolia. Select a unit to support. So, I want to support Venice in their move to Trieste. So, Tyrolia supporting Venice. Click the same territory to support a hold, support, or convoy. To support a move, click the destination territory. So in this case, I am going to be supporting the attack to Trieste. So if it were just left like this would win, where Venice will be moved to here, and then the Italian troop would move to here. Now, what that would mean for Austria, it doesn't mean that this troop is disbanded because they lost. Instead, they have to retreat. In the next season, in the winter season, if this is how it would go, there is a 12-hour period, depending on how the game is set up, usually half the time, where armies will have a chance to retreat. So, in this case, Trieste would have to either retreat to Albania, because it's neighboring, or to the Adriatic Sea. Because it's a fleet, it has access to the water and another coastal territory. But let's say these were occupied by the Italians in this case, both of these, or by another one. Either way, they just weren't available. Then that fleet is disbanded. It is destroyed because it can't go anywhere. Don't worry, though. It doesn't mean that's gone forever. Now, because Austria would have lost Trieste here, they would have lost a supply center. That would mean that they won't get any troops back. Because, once again, that would mean that they have, let's say they have Serbia, they have 3 supply centers, and they would have, going off this example, they would only have 2 supply centers and then only 2 troops. But, let's say in that move, they were to gain another supply center while losing one, that'd mean they'd have 3 supply centers, even though they lost that one. That means they need 3 troops, so they'd be able to create them. I'll show how that works in just a second. So, what about the defender, though? What can they do here? Well, defenders can do support orders, too. So let's say Serbia were to support Trieste. What you would do is, once again, click on the territory, click support down here, Issuing a support order for Serbia. Select a unit to support. They are supporting the Trieste fleet. And then click the same territory to support a hold, support, or convoy. To support and move, click the destination territory. So, because I'm a defender, I'm supporting this hold. What I would do is click it again. And as you see up here, for Austria, it shows the army in Serbia support Trieste. That's all that's written because Trieste is hold. Now, once again, we have a draw. That means that, well, Italy doesn't win here because draws always go in favor of the defenders. So that means that this would bounce where they'd stay in Venice, they stay in Trieste, etc. It'd be a good job from Austria. They'd consider that a success. And that's where the combat can get very, very wild. Because, like, let's say Italy talks to Turkey, and they're like, hey, we can both finish up Austria-Hungary together. We can finish them off. But you got to help me get this territory first. So they ask Bulgaria to move to Serbia and attack to Serbia. Now, what does that mean? So what this does is that Bulgaria's troop is bouncing with Serbia. When that happens, this support order becomes null and void. Think of it this way, like they are ready to support Trieste, but suddenly Bulgaria's army comes marching in. Serbia then has to defend that territory. So they stay there and they don't support Trieste. So that would mean that this support doesn't exist, and then Venice would win, Trieste has to retreat, etc. It can get very convoluted because Budapest, the army in Budapest, can also support Trieste. So support Trieste's hold. So even if this bounces, it doesn't matter because they still have two defenders here. That's why this wouldn't be the best decision, but that's just for the tutorial here. So we're going to go ahead and have it set up like this on this part here. And I'll go ahead and make some other combat decisions just so you can see them, and I will edit that part out. Jump to the next season. Okay, so going back to the fall, let's go ahead and go through everything that just happened. I'll go pretty quickly here, unless if there's something new here. So we're going to start with Russia here. Remember how we talked about how supporting happens? So Russia originally planned to have its army go to Norway and this fleet to Sweden so that they gain 2 new supply centers, which would mean new troops. So what happened with this army in St. Petersburg going to Norway as ordered, because they're neighboring barely, but they're neighboring, England was like, I see that happening. So what they did was they wanted to move this fleet into Norway. And how they did so was they had a support. So once again from over here, because there is support, that means it's 2v1. And because there's only one, the St. Petersburg troop loses in this case. So now England has a supply center there. That fleet stays there. That one moves to there. I'm going to go back to here, showing this. So notice how Russia's fleet went into Turkey like that. Like, it shows that I'm ready to attack Turkey. That's what Russia's doing over there. And well, Russia was predicting that Turkey was going to go ahead and try to move its fleet to here so that then it would take Russia's supply center. Russia would lose a supply center. Turkey would gain one. Because they predicted that they were going to do a move there, they caused a bounce. Remember how I said that only one troop can occupy a territory at once? Well, because these were both going for it and they both had equal footing, that means that neither of them get it. So they both bounce. As in, this fleet stays in Armenia. This one stays in the Black Sea. Remember, if it's a draw, the defender always wins. So, in this case, that's what happened here. And heck, that's also what happened here. That's what England predicted, that France was going to use its fleet in the English Channel to try to go for London. So it caused a bounce. The only way to get around a bounce would be to have a troop that supports it, which neither England or Turkey had access to at the time. Now, another thing to note. Hey, Ryan, why is France's troop holding here? Why didn't they just jump from here to claim it? So how territory claiming works in this game is that you only can officially declare that the supply center is yours when it's the end of the year. This was the moves for fall 1901. That's not the end of the year here. So it stayed in Spain so that then it can move to Portugal for the next year. And that's also why Italy moved to Tunisia, so that it can gain a supply center here. Probably thought that, hey, Turkey was going to move down to Greece. I'd rather get a supply center than to just cause a bounce. So it moved down to there. Germany, though, this is the true winner here. Because let's say they were trying to make a deal with England to be like, hey, I want you to try to distract Russia. Turkey, I want you to distract Russia so that I can go in for the kill. So Germany is pushing its troops up the border. So army in Warsaw, army here. And guess what? Another hold in Denmark. So what this means is that Germany will get two new troops while Russia is going to lose one right here. So yes, this is the major conflict overall. We're going to go ahead and jump to the winter season. And I'm going to explain what this means here. So now that it's winter of 1901, it's the end of the year. Now armies can build troops. Notice how this is all here. Because I'm the game master, I get to set all these. But if you're one nation, you get to set only your nation. You can see what each nation can build up to. Sometimes they may have to disband them, and they had to say which one they're disbanding. So notice though, like, hey, I gained new supply centers. Why can't I build there? So the rules, traditional rules for diplomacy is you can only build in your home nation. You can only build new troops in your home nation supply centers. That's why it's really not the best idea to like send a troop like all the way across the map to then take it, because it's like logistics. You gotta have supplies still getting, or other armies to support it to get to it. So it's usually not the best idea. So in this case, Turkey gained one new supply center, so they're gonna gain one new build. For this playthrough, we're going to go ahead and say they want a new fleet, and we're going to place that fleet here. I can't place it in Constantinople because it's an occupied territory, already occupied. Once again, only one troop can have a territory at the same time. England, they gain Norway, so they get a new troop. They want to go with a fleet build, and to protect that territory, let's say they're building a fleet in London. Okay, so they built that. France gets two new builds because they gained Belgium and Spain, which, that's a powerful move. France, so they want to do an Operation Sea Line is usually what it's referred to. They want to attack England, so they're going to build one of each. That way they can still defend their borders but get ready to attack. So let's say they want to use, because notice how Paris can only build an army because it's landlocked, can't build a fleet. So let's say we're going to build the army in Paris. We're going to build a fleet in, what's BRE? Brest. Yeah, we're going to build a fleet there. I could build one in Marseille, but that's really far away from over there. And Italy looks like it's focused on other areas, so it's not worth it at this time. Hopefully that doesn't come to bite France in the butt. So Austria gained one new build, but all of its territories are occupied except for Vienna here. So they're going to build one new army. Germany gets two new builds because they took Warsaw and Denmark. So they're really committed to this whole Russian idea. So they're going to build two new armies, one in Berlin. Notice how these little dots are there, which is cool. But they're also going to build one in Kiel because they want Holland later. And also to make sure France doesn't get any funny ideas. So we're going to build one in Kiel as well. And then Italy, they get one new one because of Tunisia. They really want to commit to Austria, taking down Austria. The best way to do that is through land. So that would lead to the question, what would be the best build for this? Honestly, I would say, or I would make the argument, let's go ahead and pick an army here. But you could make the argument fleets so that they could take Greece and pretty much have this whole waterway blocked. But a lot of the Austrian land it's all land-based, so fleets wouldn't help here. That's why we're going to go ahead and say an army, and we're going to put that bad boy in Rome. And then Russia, they only get one new build. Why? Because they gained Sweden, but they lost Warsaw. And Moscow's in reach from the German menace. So they decide, oh shoot, we need to build there ASAP. So we're going to place an army there. We're going to submit that and go to the next year. And there's only really one new thing that I need to show you. Okay. So now we are in spring 1902. Let's look at the armies down here. So Austria has 4, England has 4, France has 5, Germany 5, Italy 4, Russia 5, Turkey 4. So everybody has gained a troop. The reason why is because there's all these neutral supply centers, which make it way easier to be able to take or to still grow in this early phase, especially as things are starting to become realized. So I'm going to show you one new move here, because in this case, we're going to have France do it against England, because they're using a big brain moment, big brain time. They're thinking here. So what France is going to do is they think that this fleet is probably going to either hold here or it's going to attack. Let's say they got some intel that, because like let's say England has been working with Germany or something along those lines. They're begging Germany to fight against France here just to create a distraction. But they told Germany that they're not planning on attacking the English Channel, pushing them back. They're going to focus on helping Germany with Russia just to knock that out. They just need to buy time with France here. So let's say in this case, this was their plan, England's plan here. They're going to move a troop to here. They're going to move a troop to here. And then they're going to move this army down here and make sure that London doesn't get attacked. The reason why they'd be willing to probably do that, not because they're afraid of losing this, but they'd be like, once again, big brain moment. They're working with Germany here. And Germany said, all right, I'll make sure to bounce with Sweden because I have a feeling that this troop will probably move to Norway. And yeah, that's what they're thinking. This to here, and then this fleet would support that. Oh, shoot, I pressed the wrong button. Let's go ahead and reset that. So Sweden is going to support St. Petersburg move to here. So traditionally, that would mean, oh, they're going to win, so this fleet has to retreat. So what Germany is doing, though, is they're going to bounce. So no longer the support is going to be there, so it'd just be an army against a fleet, and once again, the defender wins in draw. So France, though, is having a big brain moment. They just want to get on the English Isle here. Well, they can do this move called a convoy. And this is where fleets become really powerful logistically, in my opinion, and gain some good advantage. So they want to get to Wales. Instead of putting this fleet onto Wales like they could, what they're planning on doing is moving this troop to here so that they can get in the north. And they're going to tell this army here to convoy to Wales. Okay, so I rewinded because I accidentally made a mistake, and I'm doing this wrong, so we're going to go ahead and change that. Okay, so we're going to tell this army that it is moving to Wales. So that's what the order shows. Army, Belgium to Wales. And so from how is it going to get there? Because guess what? That's not a neighboring territory. It's got 2 places to go. So what the fleet does is you issue a convoy order for it. So English fleet, convoy. Issuing a convoy order to English fleet. Select an army to convoy. Once, as you notice, you can only convoy fleets can only convoy for armies, can't convoy for another fleet. So it's going to convoy this army. So the English Channel, it's convoying Belgium to Wales. So that is what this order shows. Fleet in England is going to convoy Belgium to Wales. That's what the little squiggly mark means. And all right, so that's all I wanted to show for this. We're going to advance to the next season, and probably I'll do a quick rundown on what happened in that season. Okay, so we're back. I'm going to go ahead and point out the new things here. If you can look at the screen here if you want to see exactly what happened. So first thing to point out here. So this convoy was successful. This army will then be in Wales. This fleet moved to here, and that convoyed there. Everything is working out for France. It's going according to their plan. It's all good there. So what didn't work? Because you see a lot of red here. That doesn't mean that they entered wrong orders. It just means that it didn't work. Ooh, I entered that order wrong. Well, okay, perfect example. So So starting with Italy here, it decided to attack. Well, so I thought that I told this one to hold and that Vienna was going to support Trieste's hold, because that would mean, defender wins here. That would mean still a stalemate here and buy Austria some time to get some troops moving around there, or maybe ask for help, beg for help practically. But as you see here, a wrong order was entered. So the army from Viste to Trieste fails. Attack strength is not greater than the prevent strength. So the reason why that happened is because I accidentally told it to move there instead of support. So you really want to double check your orders and make sure that happens. So because of that, now this fleet, it lost. And now it has to retreat. And that's the menu that we're on right now. We're still in spring of 1902 because this is the retreat phase, so to say. And another retreat that's happening is over here. So originally, Russia had this big brain moment thinking that the Black Sea Fleet was going to try to bounce. So unfortunately, though, that didn't happen. Because of that, they were thinking that they would bounce. So what they did was called a three-way bounce. This allows two troops to defend three territories. So it would be, because naturally these two would bounce, like let's say nothing happened, which nothing did. That would mean that they both tried to move there and they bounced. So they would just go back to their same area and this place stays defended. Unfortunately for them, though, Turkey, with their big brain movement, and more importantly, important strategic location with the Black Seas. Pretty much if you're Russia and Turkey, and if you see that your opponent enter the Black Sea with a fleet, that usually means things are about to go down. So what happened here was that the fleet supported Bulgaria's army to there. So Russia has to retreat there. And all this red up here is because all these orders did not work out. So once again, Warsaw's troop tried to move to Moscow. This one tried to move to St. Petersburg. The reason why that didn't work is because, as we mentioned earlier, this stopped that support, which means that this troop has to stay there, which means that this troop has to stay there. And these ones do not have enough power to take one on individually. So let's go ahead and go to the retreats here, because of all that nonsense. So Austria has to retreat its fleet. There are a couple different things that they can do. One, they can move their Trieste fleet to the Adriatic Sea, or it can move to Albania. The strategic one would be the Adriatic Sea. But also notice it can decide to disband. Sometimes it's better to do that. Russia, though, has to retreat this Romania troop. So what they decide to do, they can't go to, they can't move to Sev. The reason why is because it tried to move there and there was a conflict, a bounce that happened there. Luckily, the game is that forgiving that it will tell you if that happens. So there's a couple different places that Russia could go. They could go to Ukraine. They can go to Budapest because all these troops moved around. That would be if you want to go chaotic. I would not recommend that because then Austria could just kick the troop out again. If it's the end of the year, that'd maybe be smart. But in this case, we're going to go to Ukraine because Russia is still focused on taking out Turkey. Yeah. In case you haven't noticed, all this entire tutorial here is set up with armies, like each one being attacked by one while also attacking another, for the most part. That doesn't normally happen in a game. Usually, it'd be like, let's say there's a sea line happening. So what that would mean is France, Germany, and Russia would be working together to block in England to make sure that that doesn't happen. Or there are plenty of different move sets, but the idea being that there are times where you start off unlucky if you're one of these nations and you didn't get the diplomacy right. You didn't convince anyone to join your side and help you out. Instead, they're attacking you or not helping by not putting pressure on someone attacking you. So these are the basic tutorials and movements for this game on how it works with Backstabbr. I hope you enjoyed, and feel free to ask any questions if you deem fit. All right, thank you, everybody.